Okay, so obviously the plan is always to get a nice smooth ride to every jump without interfering too much with your horse's canter stride. But that would be a perfect world, and we don't live in a perfect world. It's close, but not perfect. There will be a time when you need to lengthen your horse's canter stride, and when you need to shorten it. That's all fine, but your horse needs to be responsive to your aids, or you won't get the result you're looking for. This exercise will help train your horse to be responsive to your aids, which will go a long way to making you more accurate. This exercise has quite a few related distances in it, so you'll need to take care with your measurements. Other than that, it's pretty easy to set up. So let's start off with this line going diagonally across the arena. This is the part of the exercise where you train your horse to lengthen its last 3 strides before it jumps. So for a standard 3 strides from a cavaletti to a jump, you would measure the distance at 15 paces. You want to lengthen your horse's stride to get a good distance though. So you make it a pace longer and pace it out at 16 paces for the 3 strides. Next, you build this little line, also going diagonally across your arena, but in the opposite direction. This is the part of the exercise where you train your horse to shorten or stay on a short stride the last 3 strides before the jump. So again, the measurements for a standard 3 strides from a cavaletti to a jump is 15 paces, but you're taking 1 pace off that. So this related distance measures 14 paces for the 3 strides. Next, you set up this related distance on a curve along the top long side of your arena. It's an oxer to a vertical and it rides down on 6 strides. So it walks a standard 28 paces for the 6 strides. Followed by this related distance down the bottom long side of your arena. This time it's a vertical to an oxer, and this related distance rides down on 5 strides and it walks the standard 24 paces for the 5 strides. Then we set up the cavalettis for the warm-up routine. So you start off by setting up this cavaletti 22 paces away on the curve from the cavaletti related to the vertical in the first line you set up. This 22 paces will give you 5 strides between the 2 cavalettis. And finally, you set up this cavaletti 5 strides away from the cavaletti you just set up. It also walks 22 paces for the 5 strides. And that's it, you're all set up and ready to go. Don't forget about the link to the JPEG of the course plan in the description below so that you can easily set up off your phone. Right, so this is quite a technical warm-up routine. Once you're doing it well though, you'll be in really good shape. Your horse will be obediently and quickly shortening its stride from a relatively long stride, and you'll be accurately riding through a related distance and a related distance on a curve. You may not get this perfect the first day you ride it, but keep at it, it'll be worth it. So try do this as often as you can until you're comfortable with it. So incorporate it into your flat work days as well. So let me explain why it's difficult. So because you're striding out here to get your 5 strides, you'll be carrying much more momentum into the second part of the related distance. So the second 5 strides will ride much shorter. You really need to compress your horse's stride to get a good distance here. So you'll be striding out the first 5 strides and really compressing the second 5 strides. This is a great exercise, so keep at it until you're doing it well. Okay, so as I previously mentioned, we don't always get a smooth ride to a jump where we don't have to make adjustments to our horse's canter stride. We more often than not have to lengthen or shorten our horse's canter stride to get a good distance. The problem is, if your horse is slow to react, you don't get the result you're looking for. So we'll start off with keeping a short stride to the jump. This is great for horses that tend to accelerate into a jump and they can often run you too deep. You'll need to keep an even stride to the jump or else you'll get too deep. It's also a great idea to practice your body position for this. You really need to keep your shoulder back the last few strides and delay your pivot forward over the jump by a split second on takeoff. If you're not over your horse's shoulder on a deep stride, it makes it much easier for your horse to clear the jump. I found this quite easy on my horses, and I could have easily shortened the distance from the jump to the cavaletti by a pace. If it's the same for you, you can reduce the distance to 13 paces. And now it's time to practice lengthening before you jump. This is super important to be able to do. It just gives you the belief that you can use the long distance and not have to always resort to finding a shorter distance. It's really handy in jump offs as well. This is a little easier on a horse with blood like this one, but I have another big horse that's a little bit lazy and this exercise is brilliant for him. So your horse will really need to move away from your leg when he lands over the cavaletti to get a good distance to the oxer. If you find you're not getting a good result, you may need to give your horse a bit of a kick and maybe a tap on the neck with your stick so that he knows you really mean business. Also, make sure your hand is nice and soft and that you're driving it forward with your seat. And now it's time to ride the whole track. I'm just going to demo riding it starting from the vertical and working my way around. You can, however, start from the oxer and work your way the other way around it. So there aren't really that many pressure points in this track. However, these two turns need to be ridden well. Remember to look early on this turn because the turn comes quite quickly and it's easy to miss the turn, which will put you on an awkward line to the next jump. And then make sure you keep stepping forward through this tight part of the turn. It's easy to stall here a bit, which will give you a quiet ride to the next jump, which will almost certainly give you a deep distance to the first part of the related distance, which will then cause it to ride long. Awesome, you made it to the end. So you're the type of person that will really enjoy this channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and I'll keep the videos coming.